Another way that you can really start to build your brand and exacerbate it is with your vocabulary. And this is what I call creating your signature brand. And what I mean by that is you could have a signature greeting. I think there's no better place in the world to understand the brilliance of branding but to go to Las Vegas. If you go to Las Vegas, you realize that every moment is branded. I think from the moment you land at McCarran Airport and you see the shape of the pyramid, tells you you're at the Luxor. And if you actually get to the Luxor and you push open the doors, all of the door handles replicate that triangular shape. If you go over to the Flamingo Hotel, the pink color is ubiquitous. Everywhere you go, things are working the pink. They have even gone so far as to have their no parking zone in the front of the casino. It's not red, aha, but it's pink. And if you go across the street and perhaps you go over to the Paris Casino, they're not going to greet you by saying hello. They're going to greet you at the Paris Casino by saying bonjour. Perfectly appropriate. I know a French professor who also wrote a textbook, and when she answers her phone, she always says bonjour. It's her way of letting folks know she is fluent in French. I see this happen with a lot of other folks, especially here in California. If you are bilingual, you should be seizing the moment to tell people in your voicemail in English and the other language. Your card should be two-sided: English, Spanish, English, Chinese, English, Italian. That is a point of difference that's worthy of telling the world. So by the same token about this foreign language thing, if you go down the street and you get to the Venetian Casino, two things are going to happen that would really smack you in the face. I think the first one is you are going to get on an escalator where there's two-way traffic, and you're not going to guide right, you're going to guide left, because they want to make sure you understand that you are now in Europe, where we think they drive on the wrong side of the road. And then when you get there and you check in, their point of difference is that every room is a suite. So they'll say, Ms. Goodgold, your suite is ready. Ms. Goodgold, would you like suite service? It's not room service. Every single time they talk about their property, they are reinforcing their unique positioning. And of course, they're able to say bienvenido, right? Their way of saying welcoming in Italian. And you'll see this with all across the Strip. If you go to the MGM Grand, they're going to tell you to have a grand day. So you can see that we can really take a lesson from these casinos. We've talked about how we use color, but you could have a signature greeting. I remember when Friends was the height of the TV ratings. And I remember Joey going, "Yo, how you doing?" That became his signature greeting. And it's perfectly appropriate for you to have one as well. And it doesn't just mean verbally. You could open your letters and even sign your letters with things that are more consistent with your brand. I know from working with Sharp Healthcare, for example, that one of the things we always looked at was, should we sign our letters in good health? And the answer is, of course. Isn't that a little bit closer to the brand positioning than just a simple sincerely? So you really want to look at ways that the signature part, what's different, is coming through in every single interaction that you have. We talked a little bit about dressing the part when it comes to color. So whether it's the red tie or whether it's the yellow suit, but you can take it to another level besides just color. You can dress the part based upon what it is that you do. Tracy Downey, for example, is an amazing chocolatier. So every time you see her, she has that chef's robe on. And if you're lucky, she actually has samples of her chocolate for you. I've seen people who are brilliant hairdressers, and as a result, they never have one single hair out of place. I've met folks who do work in jewelry, whether it's silk potter or they have their own appraisal service. These people are dripping with their own jewelry because, again, they are acting as their very own mascot. Every single part of us really is this opportunity to brand. I know for myself, of course, that every time someone says Liz, oh, I don't know if I remember her, they're going to say it's the red hair. That truly is my signature characteristic. And you realize that celebrities do this as well. So we have Larry King, and he has his suspenders, and maybe Beyonce, who's known for the booty, or maybe we have Shakira, who's known for shaking her hips, or Crystal Gayle, who's known for her long hair. But if we took it even to hats or glasses, we would still have the same reaction. If I told you that someone was wearing John Lennon glasses, I think you would have a quick image of what I'm talking about. I think if I said, oh, that person had specs like Harry Potter, you also would have a very clear understanding of what I'm talking about. And if I said, oh my gosh, that person had those huge, beautiful Jackie O sunglasses, you would know that as well. So the spectacles are becoming their own spectacle. They are working to brand you. And it can be the hat, like the black cowboy hat. It can be the white cowboy hat. It could be the beret, like Mike Gergich of Gergich Hills Winery. It could be the Boy George hat that he always has on. It could be the fedora from Cedric the Entertainer. All of these folks are branding themselves by their signature dress, their body, their moves, their phrases. Because if we think about it, great brands have in common that they are consistent. You want to have the same experience today that you're going to have tomorrow. I think, as a matter of fact, this is why so many folks go overseas and they still wind up at McDonald's, because they know what they're going to get. They want it to meet expectations. And that really is a hallmark of a great brand. It means that I'm going to have the same experience, the expectation's going to be met just as it was in the past. And if the expectation conflicts with the actual behavior, we have a tremendous conflict. And I think that's why when some of our celebrities flip out, then it's news. If Britney Spears does something wild again, it's not news. We know to expect the unexpected from her. Unfortunately, we heard about the death of Heath Ledger. We were shocked because we didn't expect that from him. When we heard about Mel Gibson and his anti-Semitic remarks, it was news because no one knew that about him. The same is true for Michael Richards. No one expected the lovable Kramer from Seinfeld to have said such racist remarks. We want to build an expectation of what you're going to get through every single one of our interactions, and that is strong branding. Of course, in Hollywood, they will often say that that's pigeonholing, and I would disagree. Pigeonholing actually just means you were so well branded. It means that if you're Sylvester Stallone, you should recognize at some point that you were only destined to play 2 roles in your entire life, Rambo and Rocky. Every time Sly does any other part, it fails. We don't want to see him as a comedian. We want to see him as our great action hero. And the same is true for Meg Ryan. Meg Ryan excelled when she was the girl next door. Well, all of a sudden, when she starts making R-rated movies, we're no longer interested. We want our girl next door to come back to us.